And so that's where we see the supply chain going long term, is the idea of everything being connected so you get this information symmetry effect. How can paperless parts help customers be more selective with their business? It's a great question. So customers typically are taking on work that they believe they need to take on to fill capacity. The key that you really need to think about is, what work should I be doing? And the what work should I be doing is based on what you're really good at. But it's really hard to know what you're good at unless you're tracking it, and unless you've got a way to very quickly tell when RFQs come in whether they're good work for you. So Paperless Parts does a lot of things, whether it's taking in your quote, being able to tell you when you first got the quote or the RFQ, and then how long it took you to send that out, being able to look into the files that you were sent to be able to help start automate the process of quoting, whole bunch of things. But the main thing is just being able to tell, is this work I should be taking on based on a bunch of rules that I've set of things that I don't want to do, or features that if I do them, like a deep hole that you may have to gun drill, for instance, that you're properly marking that up in the quote itself so that you know you're going to make the right amount of money for that, right? To take on based on the risk that you're taking. Process mapping is so critical for customers, and it's a thing that, and when I say customers, I mean machine shops, sheet metal fabricators, anybody who's making things, because your manufacturer, your shop, whatever that you're doing, you likely haven't actually looked at all of the pieces that you're taking to make sure, wait a minute, am I finding bottlenecks in what I'm doing that are slowing me down, that I could change a process and be able to go faster? And so one of the things that we do with customers when we first talk to them, before they're even customers of ours, is to just lay out all the processes that they do, because you start to realize how many different things that you could begin to change to go faster. What is the ultimate connected supply chain? Great question. So the main thing that we see is that as you go down the tiers of a supply chain, and so much of custom supply chains in the United States is tiered, you go from the very first tier, the tier one manufacturer, the person who serves the OEM, they get generally pretty good information about what it is that they're quoting. So that might be a step file that has the 3D model, right, that you can use to drive automation. When you go from that next tier down, the quality of the information, the fidelity, we say, of the data decreases at every step. And by the end, by the time that you're at the raw materials provider or the finishing provider or something like that, you're getting a one-line email saying, I need this specific stock, or I need this lot done by this time. And the more that you can start to connect that supply chain with, first starting with the data, then with the information, so saying, what are the specs that we have to uphold, that we have to hit for this specific manufacturer? Being able to do that on an automated basis, the more you can do of that, and then being able to start the quote using the basic quote information, the part data, all those things. If you can start sending that information down and then sending the POs back up the supply chain, you're going to be able to increase the speed that you can cycle through and decrease the errors. And so that's where we see the supply chain going long term, is the idea of everything being connected so you get this information symmetry effect. How does AI factor into quoting? Typically, the way that we see AI best done is taking what's already there and saying, how can we improve it? And so in this case, what we see a ton of with our customers is PDFs. We see drawings, because you have to send a drawing in a quote, but a drawing means that unless you have paperless parts, you used to stare at the drawing to understand, is it revved? What's the GD&T? What specs do I have to uphold? All these kinds of things. Are there any features or tolerances that I need to know about that are going to be extra careful or extra hard to make, that may drive up the cost by some multiple? That is really hard. And so what we've done is we've developed some technology using AI, it's all proprietary, where we can read a print and we can extract that information to help you quote faster and more consistently. And that's where I see the biggest effect, is being able to take PDFs and go faster.